Oh.
What happened? I just got hit. What happened?
Hey, bro. Alright, guys. Well, I guess today we're going to do a video on how to replace a rope in a GX160.
Start. Alright, guys, let's replace this Honda GX160 rope. Alright, first we'll start by removing these three 10mm bolts. Right here. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Once I get them loose, I just do it by hand, a lot easier. Just make sure to set them off to the side so I don't lose them, face up, and we don't roll around. Alright, so we need to remove our rope out of the center there. Little screwdriver, little pick. Sometimes you can grab it with your hand. However, you know, we just want to grab the rope from any direction. Go, just kind of try to work it out like that. So once I get the end, perfect. Now I can pull it. So I pull, pinch with my finger, pull, pinch with my finger, pull, pinch with my finger, pull, pinch with my finger. Now that I got it straight, and I can now remove it, put my screwdriver in there. This will allow it to lock in place. So I put it through these black fins and through the metal fin at the same time, and it locks everything in place. You can pull it out like this. Depending on your rope, if it's real frayed or something like that, a lot of times it's a lot easier if you just cut it close to the knot. Rope's a lot stronger than I thought. That way you're not trying to fight it or pull out the entire thing. This. Our handle is made up of two pieces. You have your center piece and you have your outer piece. The center piece is what's going to hold the rope. So, and this is kind of rubberized. So you can just pinch in there real easy and just, oh, missed it. Spread. As we can see, there's two sides. We have this flat side and we have the recessed squared side. Our rope sits inside of there. Pull that out. See how when it broke, I can't get it through there. That's why a lot of times I just cut them. Saves you a lot of time and frustration, that's for sure. Set those aside. Okay. So you'll want to go to your store, local like engine dealer, something like that, small engine shop. Most places should have a rope for you. It doesn't matter the brand. I prefer the Honda one because I work for Honda, or work with Honda, sorry. You'll need a number 5 rope. Number 5 rope in Honda's eyes is 5/32 or it's 4mm. I'll take most shops. Well, sorry. So I'll typically go get about 7 to 8 feet. It's going to hold about 79 inches in total, but I always just get a little bit more, and I'll show you why here in just a second. You can use a lighter. It's a little easier for me, like trying to show y'all with this. We'll burn that in, right? Burning this in is going to keep it from fraying. Then you're going to take you a rag, right? Some sort of rag. Some rag you probably don't care about, an old sock, whatever you got. Don't use your hand because it's going to burn. You want it to mushroom like this, okay? So as soon as it's done, you'll take it, put it in the rag, and then pull it straight off. It's not black anymore, and now it's totally sealed, right? Totally not going to fray. I typically like cutting that little tiny piece off. It's kind of sharp, honestly. Okay. So our recoil, we want to make sure to get our spring as tight as possible. I'm not for sure exactly how tight it is, because it just wound as much as what was broke off in there, right? So I'm going to use both hands. I'm going to pinch, spin, pinch, pin, spin, right? So I'm going to pull it, take tension off my screwdriver, pull my screwdriver out. Now I'm going to use this hand. I'm going to spin it to the left and then put my thumb into one of those grooves, and I'm just going to hold it and keep it from going back. If you let it go, you just have to, this process just starts all over. Okay, so I'm gonna spin it till I can't spin it anymore. I'm not gonna like try to manhandle it. You know, you'll feel it stop. It'll come to like almost a hard stop. Here's where the rope comes. Here's where our rope knot ties into the pulley, but we need to come out over here. So we're not lined up. So we're here and here. This is perfectly fine. whenever we tie our rope, we want to hit the end of the knot, not wind the spring as tight as possible. So that way, if you pull all the way out, you're hitting the knot, not the spring. That's what's going to cause your springs to break. So if you're going through a lot of springs, maybe you have it wound a little too tight and you're hitting the end of the spring instead of the end of the knot. I'm going to back this off about a quarter turn or so. And I want to try to line these up as best as possible. So as straight as possible. Here's my hole. Here's this hole. So about as straight as possible. Then I'm going to find an edge that's really close to one of these. And that's where I'm going to put my screwdriver in and let it go. And that's going to hold everything in place for me. So now I got a pretty straight line right here. I'll take my burn end, right? The end we burn. I'm going to put it through the hole. Boom. I'm going to feed it through. And the straighter it is, the easier it's just because it's going to just come straight out. I know there's tons of different ways to tie this knot. I've used this method for many, many years, and this never caused me a problem. Just a simple overhand knot. There you go. Gonna leave it, and I want to leave about a quarter inch or so of tag end left. If you do it right at the edge and you do an overhead knot, it will slip. If you leave about this much off, this is never going to slip. Take me something that I can push this in. You can use your hand. I just find it easier to have a tool. And then I'm going to take, I'm just going to pull it tight as I pretty much can. I'm going to pull all the way through. Now what I want to do is I don't want to violently just let that spring go. It's going to go crazy. It's just the risk of damaging something is going to be pretty high at this point. I want to control the pulley. I'm going to grab the rope however you want. You can pinch it. It's a little easier for me to grab it like this. I'm going to take tension off of my screwdriver. Now all my tension is on my rope. Now I'm going to slowly release the rope back into there. And I'm just going to let it take as much as it possibly wants, right? Cool. Entirely too much rope left over. We want our handle to come right back over to here. That's what I like to do. So right here, about pinch it. So I pinch it and I'm going to cut it. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to hold this. I'm actually going to pull this out again. Now there's tension again on this pulley. I'm holding it with my hand with the rope. I'm going to insert my screwdriver to lock everything in place. I'm going to let it lock into place. We don't want it to fray, so we're going to burn this in as well. Let it mushroom. What I like doing is you'll take your handle part, you'll feed it through there first. Shut that down. We'll take our centerpiece. Remember, we want our knot to fit inside this recess right here, so don't go a crazy big knot. Put it up through the center, out through the recess. Again, simple overhand knot with about a 1/4 inch tag in. Again, same trick. Again, guys, I've been doing this for years and this has never caused me any problems, and it's quick and easy. Pull this down. Pull it. We'll push everything inside that recess. We'll then pull our handle up, right? And then I'll pull everything together. As you can see, there's no bulging, no nothing. Everything fits in there nice and easy. That's what we want. We want it to look very professional. I'm going to put tension on my rope. Releases it off my screwdriver, so it's just a little easier to pull out. I'm going to let it come in. Okay. All right, guys. So this is pretty common. Did this on purpose for a reason. This right here, will it work for you? Yes, it will. I just like my stuff to go out a little bit more professional than that, but this thing should come up and snap back into place. You should just be able to come down, snap it back into place, okay? So what I should have done is I actually should have pulled before I put this handle on there, I should have pulled out, I should have cut it out, pulled it out and cut a little bit more off, about another 2 inches off of the rope. And that would have been a perfect tie for this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it out again. Okay, I need some slack in my rope. I'm gonna take my screwdriver again, and you can see right where it comes through here. It's gonna be super easy to grab. You're gonna pull it and pull this up through here like that. We're gonna make a loop. So we have our handle side, and we have the side going to our recoil. We want our recoil side, right? The pulley side. We don't want our handle side. I want the handle side. We want the pulley side. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna spin this around counterclockwise in one. Sorry, it's not the easiest thing. It's not super hard, but it's just kind of hard. You gotta to manhandle the pulley a little bit. So I pulled it one turn all the way around. Now again, I have my loop. I want to take my handle side, I'll pull it back down, make sure everything's flat. And like I said, you can do it like this, but I have slipped and it's jacked my fingers up a little bit. Always just let it control it with this. Now it's nice and tight. Now if you see, if I go, comes back up, snaps right into place. That's perfect. We'll reinstall it. Our 3 10mm bolts, and just so y'all know, guys, depending on your application, you can turn all these holes, so you can turn this however you want. So it's a general purpose engine, so you can change the way you want. Only difference is it might change the orientation of your sticker, but if it makes it easier for you to start, you know, then rotate it. And I never tighten them all the way down until you get all 3 back in there. If you tighten them all the way down, you're gonna run the risk. And just tighten this one down by hand. But you'll see that this hole doesn't line up, and it's gonna become increasingly harder, depending on, especially if you're using a wrench or something like that to turn this. So I leave them just a little bit loose. And then that way I can come over, put all 3 of my bolts in. This is why it's important not to try to bend this outer piece, because it can change how wide or loose or how wide or narrow it is, and it could change how it bolts on. Go ahead and tighten them all down there by hand until they're snug. These do not have to be tight. This is just sheet metal. They're not gonna fall off. Just a little quarter turn, about a quarter turn. About a quarter turn. Now, lastly, if you're breaking a lot of ropes, 9 times out of 10, you are having a starting problem. So I can tell you from experience that if you're pulling your rope 3, 4 times and it's not starting, then you have an issue. I can start these, and I live in Texas. I can start these, it's sub 32 degrees, 28, 26. We don't get crazy cold here, but we do get pretty cold within 2 or 3 pulls on the coldest day. Typically, I can normally start them within 1 to 2. If it's taking 10, 15, 20 pulls, you have a starting issue and you don't have a rope problem, right? The rope problem is a problem because of another problem. So I would look at addressing why it's not starting. But as you can see, it works fine. Now it's back.